Hello, everybody. Today I have the honor of talking to one of my best friends and buddies from UBC undergrad who also did biology. And he's probably one of the hardest working people I've ever met. And yeah, his name is Kia. So do you wanna introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey everyone. Thank you for watching this. So my name is Kiarash Bahari, but usually people call me Kia, easier. And we studied together. We studied biology and we suffered a lot. We had so much fun. We went through a lot, I guess. But um, I know now we both graduated from undergrad biology, and I feel like those 4 years were one of the best years of my life in sense of finding friends and also finding what I want in life in general.
Yeah. It's so funny because I met Kia because in the Bio 370 class, like muscle physiology and energetics, I would ask a lot of questions and in class, and I was sitting like pretty close to the front because I really wanted to do well this year. And then I think it was like in the biology center, right? I just saw you, and then we started talking, and then we shared Quizlets and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, oh wow, he's such a nice person. And then we started doing the calls together for that one and everything because I was doing those weekly calls on the Saturdays. I was like, oh Kia, you should come too.
Yeah, I know.
And then we had like Bio 362 and like other classes together as well. So yeah, Kia is definitely a really good friend. So yeah, do you want to start off by talking about the biology major and like how you found that? Would you advise people do it? And yeah.
Sure. So since I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. Classic. I'm Persian, so like classic Persian, I would say. And So the route that I chose was biology because I was advised a lot that if you go to biology, it's gonna be so much easier to learn about medicine, and then that makes it just so much easier. And then also everyone that I knew who are studying medicine, they did biology as their undergrad. Um, so when I started university, and I didn't start by going to UBC because I was an international student, and UBC was too expensive. I did my first 2 year of associate degree in Capilano University in North Vancouver, and I did 2 years of biology. Um, Mainly because in CapU we didn't have much choices, like we didn't have other majors, and it was only one arts and sciences, and biology was a sub major of the arts and sciences. So after I finished my 2 years of biology, I transferred to UBC as a biochemistry student. And when I started my year, people just keep telling me biochem is not a really good option. It's a good option if you want to go to research, but then it's a good option. But biology, you're more open. Basically, you have more choices of taking different courses and variety of courses related to human body. Um, so my advice for taking biology, and when I look back, if I'll go back in time, I probably would take kinesiology, just because it's more human based and then it's more practical, and also it's easier to get a good average. Also in kinesiology at UBC, you have so many other options. Like you have so many elective options, like EPSI courses that are usually super high averages, versus in biology, you don't really have access to take those courses. And to be honest, I do like biology, and I didn't like the second year biology at UBC because when I transferred, I was put in second year, so I had to do the second, third, and fourth year. In second year biology, you don't really have any choices. You have to take some specific courses that are designed for you, and those are not human based. So for anyone who really likes human biology, that wouldn't be much interesting, even though you can still learn a lot. And I still remember many things that I learned from one of the courses. It's Bio 205, is invertebrate zoology. However, like no one understands how this is related to medicine, but it is actually. And like for example, one of the examples is you learn much about how small animals are enduring heart conditions that are deadly to humans, and then you can apply the same physiology to human. So I guess everything is related to human body if you think of it more creatively. And I would say that after my second year in third and fourth year of biology, it's so much more interesting, and it's you have so much more choices. So I found that in my second year that I really like cell biology, and also I really like physiology. So that's how I ordered all my courses from that year, and I started taking Bio 370 with you. And we started taking Bio 362, which is cell biology, and Bio 441. And I guess I found those courses really interesting and really applicable and related to what I want to do in future.
Yeah, for sure. So like you mentioned the transferring from Capilano. Is
Mm.
that how is that process? Because I don't know a lot about it, and I think a lot of
Mhm.
people message me about transferring. You had a really high
Yeah,
average, so I don't think it was too
yeah.
difficult, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
When I transferred from Kaplan University, I wasn't much concerned because yeah, I had a good average, so I had all A pluses except for my second year cell biology, which was A, and my English, which I had an A and a B plus.
Hmm.
So I would say I had a really good competitive average for coming to UBC. The only problem was when I finished Kaplan University, COVID happened and we went online. And then I was still an international student, so I couldn't really enter UBC. I was going to, but I couldn't find many scholarship available for international students, especially in COVID. There was none that I could find. So I decided to work for 1 year and save money and hopefully get my permanent residence, which totally happened. And I got my permanent residence. So then I could go back to UBC with much cheaper, and then so many good scholarships they're available to Canadian students. It's basically, I could say university could be literally free if you are a Canadian and you work hard.
Yeah.
And it's not that they just give you the scholarship, but also you have to apply for all of them. That I'll be happy if you want to like talk about some of the scholarships that I
Yeah.
applied and I got like approved.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, for now, this was the route that I took. I worked for a full year. I saved some money and I came back to UBC. And the transfer process was easy in itself. I just need to um, complete the series of questions and just write a short essay about what I really want in life. And yeah, I wouldn't say that was anything crazy in applying to UBC from CapU.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. When I was in high school in like grade 12, I applied for UBC like directly, and I also did like the scholarships because like I think like if you're somebody who's like a high achiever, which you probably are if you're listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
you should spend your time doing scholarships because like there's just so much available, and like I was able to get a couple too. But yeah, do you want to talk a bit more about your scholarships? Like,
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
Maybe I don't have them all listed.
Yeah,
In a
but like
future video, I will for
roughly,
sure bring them all and then I can show you
yeah,
the process. However, I mean, I would say the easiest one for sure. Like if you Google, there's
yeah,
gonna be so many available. They can just apply.
yeah,
It could be sometimes time consuming and hard, but I usually do it in the summer,
yeah,
right after I finish school. So like maybe in May or even June or July. But some of the easiest one to get is the one that is from the school itself. So from UBC, you can just go, and then there's so many scholarships available in UBC itself. They can just apply.
yeah, for sure. And you
Mhm.
mentioned you worked for a year. Was that at your like restaurant job, or
Yes,
yeah?
yeah. I served and bartended in a restaurant.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's awesome. Like I do that at the seniors home sometimes because we have happy hours on Fridays.
yeah,
And then like I do like the drink mixing and yeah. It's fun. And like, serving and all of that. Dude, you get a whole new appreciation for like work and like servers and stuff when you do those jobs. Like highly
yeah,
recommend for anybody,
yeah, totally.
yeah, to try it at least like, for a few months or whatever. Like and I'm sure you must have got tips, right? We don't get tips at the, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
but I think like you learning how to deal with people is such a valuable life skill, and then how to like multitask and be polite all the time is such a life skill, um, and have patience and all of that. So yeah, I think like definitely good. And then yeah, like how'd you feel when you were working for that year? Like were you
Yeah. Um, so it was something unfortunate at first because
yeah.
I was really mad and sad. I was like, why the world is doing this to me? And I wanted to study so bad, and I was so motivated and wanted to study and get to my goal, which is medicine. But when this happened, I knew this is not avoidable, and at first I started just bartending, and then I guess I got lucky, and also I was really creative with the drinks, and I
Hmm.
knew like I just started like studying more, and then like the nerdy stuff that we
Yeah.
always do. I was still nerdy when I was bartending too. I started studying too much, and then come up with this new drinks, and then I learned so many techniques that like people enjoy it more.
Hmm.
So I was lucky to be the manager after a
Mm.
month working. So then when I was the manager, um I would say I just grown like I was a kid before, but then after being a manager, I was a grown man that I had responsibilities and I had to deal with people. I had to talk to them. I had to call the other restaurants and then like make, just like go when they're signing the contracts, and then also my name was on the the contractual that they want. So they'll sometimes send me to like talk to other restaurants, talk to other meat shops that we are buying meat, or like buying vegetarians from the supermarket. And I would say I really learned much, and it helped me to be a grown man who is more ready to be in society. And uh, yeah, I guess I enjoyed it, even though
Yeah.
I was not happy at first.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely understand that because that's how I kind of felt too. Like after not making it into physio the first time, it's like, oh yeah, super like the world's against me or whatever, or like just not good enough at the time. But I feel like kind of trying your best to make the best out of it and learning things, and then it's like so like thinking about it as okay, it's just this like short period of time anyway. Like eventually it'll happen, right? Like you're gonna be Doctor Kiarash Bahari. So
Hopefully.
like can guarantee it almost, right? So it's like yeah, I feel like having that positive outlook is good. And then yeah, you mentioned like the second year of biology courses. I think like second year bio at UBC is like really tough, like sciences, because you take like organic chem, you take the lab, you take cell bio, you take genetics, and then you take like invertebrate or like protist or something like that, and like an ecology class. So you don't really get to choose much. And then third and fourth year are way more fun, in my opinion, and the classes are more interesting because you can choose what you're specifically interested in. Yeah, so, do you want to talk about some of the study tips you have? Because Kia is an A+ student, and he is like insanely hardworking when it comes to school. How do you do it?
Um, yeah, I've been asked this a lot, like many times from many different people, and um, it's so much different when I say it versus when I actually do it. But what I found to help me the most to get good marks is first life balance. Like if I don't have a life balance, if I'm only studying, then I'll be more nervous and I'll do worse. So really, I remember in my first year, I was just studying a lot. I was trying to do the best. I was trying to do so much, like so much things that was so much extra. But then I wasn't seeing the result that I'm looking for. But then I started being more chill, like taking my
Mm,
time to study, like study about what I want to study some of the things that I really enjoy, and then go read more about them, like spend time with my family, with my friends. And from that point, my grades started improving, and I never understood how this happened. But then I just know that when I just don't spend all my time studying, it's been so much better for me to get the result that I want.
mm,
It could be maybe because I'm less nervous when I study enough, not extra. And also, I have this support, so I don't feel ashamed when I go into exam, and then I'm not feeling scared when I'm doing the exams.
mm,
And the main one of the main points of being an undergrad is not only how you study, but it's also how you take the exams.
mm-hmm,
And also, what I learned is I had some bad scores in my second year, which taught me that it's not always fair the way that you're graded, and not that it's not fair, but like people are making mistakes, right? TA sometimes make the mistake, prof sometimes make mistakes, and then sometimes you have to go and defend yourself. So for my third year, I remember like every time I was getting a score that I knew is not the score that I want, I would go talk to the prof and then explain my reasoning. And this actually happened to one of the physiology courses that I was taking. So one of the marks, I got a really low score on my midterm, and I was shocked because I usually did pretty good in physiology courses. So then I went to the prof and I started explaining my reasoning. I was like, this question is, I wrote this not because of what is the answer key, but because I thought this also could be this way. And then the prof ended up appreciating my answer, and then they increased my score. Also, I was feeling so much closer to the prof because I know they know that I can think outside the box. And you probably know which prof I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in general, I really enjoyed learning all these tricks and then learning how to study. I guess one more thing that I want to add is hard work is really important too. So I talk about not studying extra, but also you need to do work. You know, it's not that like you only wait and then you get the best score you want. You have to study, but study smart.
Mhm.
So for example, for an cell biology course, what we did is we didn't put so much effort, we didn't put so much time, but what we did is we studied smart. Like before the class, we studied for 20 minutes, and then in the end of the week, in on Friday or Saturday, we just had a Zoom call and studied for 20 more minutes. And then also for ourselves, we studied 20 minutes, which is only 60 minutes. So it's not a lot of time studying for a course, but we ended up getting super high scores because we were keep reviewing stuff and then studying smart.
Yeah, for sure. I think like what worked. Did you also do like flashcards, like Quizlet and Anki and stuff like that, or not?
I never the flashcard never worked for me because
Mm-hmm.
I want everything in a physical book
Mm,
and then in a book setting, not in like cards.
yeah.
And what it really helped me is and that's how I memorize usually that because I wouldn't say I'm really good at memorization, but then this technique really helped me is I have a notebook and then I started studying from the textbook or studying from the slides. So everything that I learn, I just learn it. Everything that I know I'm learning, but I still have to memorize, I look back, I'll just write it down in a notebook. So
Mm,
after studying the test, I'm usually having like 20 pages of notebook that I wrote. So I started going through the notebook and highlight everything else that I haven't memorized and
mm,
then study them again. So like
mm,
just like studying the whole thing and then studying the smaller thing and the smaller thing. And then that's usually my approach for going to the exams.
mm. Yeah, that's really interesting. Like I think
Yeah.
for like Brody and I, like we would do the flashcards, we would do the questions, like whatever is posted, make our own questions, um,
Mm.
try to write out things like for 370 and stuff, like write everything out as much as you can remember, and then fill in the gaps, and then like go office hours, chat GPT for more questions, Google for more questions. I think like that was like the approach we used, but I think what you're saying is very interesting too. And yeah, so is that like the general advice you would give for?
I think so.
Yeah.
It worked for me. It doesn't mean that everyone will be comfortable with, but I would say definitely if you feel like you're having a hard time memorizing everything, I feel like that should be a good approach because then you have everything in place. Like for me, I want everything to be super OCD friendly,
Mm-hmm.
so I try to like categorize everything. So this way I can categorize the textbook in a way that is more comfortable to me rather than just studying what is comfortable to the prof or to the textbook writers.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
think one of the key takeaways too is go to office hours and connect with your profs and TAs, right? Like we went pretty almost every week with the regulars. But
Yeah.
it's good for like getting research opportunities if you want to work with the prof, good for letters of recommendation, good for actually doing well in the course and understanding the concepts like in depth, because if you're making questions that are harder than what the prof has thinking about, then it's obviously going to be very beneficial for you because you know you're going to be understanding things. And like yeah, like the thing is with university, it is like how much you're going to put in and how much you want to create for yourself, right? Like there's no hand holding in university.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and no, exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
So like, I guess we should the takeaway is, profs are human,
yeah,
right? Like they are eating lunch, they're drinking, they're going to bathroom. Like they're
mm-hmm,
like us. They're
mm-hmm,
not some. They're not like people so far away from us that we can't connect to them. But then, like I usually feel really close to my profs because I know we have so much in common. We love science.
yeah,
I do like science. I know my prof likes science. So like that's like something that we can talk about all along,
yeah,
and we shouldn't just yeah to my especially to first year students. I remember me myself when I was in first year. I was scared. I was terrified when I see a prof.
yeah,
Like I was not going to talk to them. You know, like
yeah,
oh my god, they're like aliens.
yeah,
But and now just so much easier because I've known many profs, and then I've even been pretty close to some of them, then talking about science stuff, and then talking about my future. And I feel like it just don't be scared of profs and go connect to them because they love science that they're teaching, and they probably appreciate you wanting to learn more.
yeah, and especially if you're approaching in like in a manner that's like, oh, okay, I was thinking this because of this and this. Am I on the right track, or am I missing something? As opposed to, oh, I don't understand this, you know, or I don't know what's 1D or something like that, right? It's like if you're showing initiative, they appreciate it. And one thing like what's interesting is like I'm reading a book right now, like Feel Good Productivity, where it's like talking all about like making things fun to make it, you know, to make it enjoyable for you and to actually do well at something. So it's all like those things, right? Like we'd approach it with like sort of a play, like when we're having the calls, it's not serious, it's not stressful. When we go ask the uh, when we go get help or learn more, it's like curiosity, right? It's not like it's making learning just more enjoyable, I think, because that's leading to like I guess doing better than you know, I guess other people and stuff. So I think that's a good takeaway. Yeah. So did you live at UBC your whole time, or like were you at home? How is that?
Um, so I was yeah, I was living with my mom in West Vancouver. So then it's usually 1 hour 30 minutes bus to UBC, and it was pretty tough. Like if you can stay in UBC, definitely do it. It's just so much easier to go to library, study, and then also so much easier to connect to people. But then me living in West Vancouver, especially in COVID time, it was really hard because I'm usually having such a hard time studying at home, and we also had a small apartment, so like we didn't have much space to like go to my own room and study much, you know. um, so if you can go to UBC residence, that's a great opportunity because you have access to so many resources. But also I'm happy I was in Westman because then I could communicate with so many people outside the school, especially in my workplace, and then that really gave me the opportunity to learn much more about society, because society is different from university life. It's really
So
different.
different. Yeah.
But also, I lived in UBC for 4 months. I subletted a place in one of the residences, and I loved it. It's just so close. I saved 3 hours of commute every day almost because I need to
Yeah.
1 hour 30 minutes come, 1 hour 30 minutes go back. I saved that time, and then I could do so much work with that.
For sure. Yeah. No, the thing about like the world being different from like university community is so true. Like once you
Yeah.
graduate, like I think you're gonna start to feel this now too. It's like you have like the people you deliberately want to hang out with or want to see, like your friends or like you the close people. And you have to make an effort. Like you're not just gonna see them all the time. And then you're gonna have like your coworkers, and then you're gonna just gonna have your job and like your little like area. But that's so different to like where university, where everybody's the same age, like from 18 to like 20 something. Versus at work, you got people 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, right? Um, and yeah, it is like very different, like the environment and the way people are and stuff. So yeah, pretty interesting. I guess you got a good taste of the both like approaches too. So do you want to talk a little bit about MCAT and like how like advice you have because he Kia is very good at like MCAT studying and he was in what like 99 percentile for some sections and yeah, do you want to
Yeah,
talk
for
about how you
sure.
did?
Um, MCAT, PTSD. Um, I, I'm so scared of this exam because it's for me. I'm used to studying socially, but for MCAT, it's not something that you can really study socially. You need a lot of time just being by yourself because the exam is 7 hours and 30 minutes almost. So then you have to do the practices, which are also so long, and then you have to do them alone because you have to focus so much. You have to be in private. That just made it hard for me to really. Um, I had a hard time studying for the MCAT. But I wouldn't I wouldn't say I was really good at studying the MCAT, but I would give all the credits to one of my friends. Surush, he made a plan, an amazing plan. He shared the plan with me, so I literally just followed the plan because during my studying for the MCAT in summer, I was working full time. I was working 45 hours a week and sometimes more. So a lot of I really had like 5 hours. So I need to cap. So my only motive was I knew my friend studied 8 hours this day and he finished these 3 chapters. So I knew in order to keep up with him, I also have to read these 3 chapters. So after my work, I'll just be super efficient. Like I'll be the most efficient I've been in my entire life. And for 3 hours, I'll try to finish the chapters. And then the next day, I would again follow him and follow his schedule. So what his schedule started with is doing just going over everything and reading based on the Kaplan books. So we started studying bio books, chemistry books, and organic chemistry and everything else. I would say the only problem we really underestimated cars because we thought that we could just caught up on cars and then be so great in like 2 months before the exam. But then cars is not something that to clarify, cars is a section of the MCAT which is critical reasoning, and you need to read 9 passages and answer the question based on the passages. So the passage could be about business, could be economy, could be King George last words when he was in the bed and dying, and it could be anything. You only have 10 minutes for each section for each passage, so you'll have in total 90 minutes to answer 53 questions in the course. And that was the hardest section for me, especially because English is not my first language, and it was really hard for me to compete with people who are native in this language, and it's just so much easier for them to write and read. um, However, if I'll go back and I want to start again, I'll just put so much more time for car section. And I feel like I spent too much time for biology and I didn't need to because I knew so much biology, but then still I had this OCD that I have to be complete. So I have to study so much more. I have to like finish everything, all the resources. And I did, but I wish I spent that time for studying for the cars.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, but it's just amazing, like your dedication and effort for that. Like, it's really amazing. Like, I can see it right now. Like, you work until 5 and then hustling over to IKB, study
Yeah.
for another 3, 4 hours, and then repeat the next day. It's incredible. Um, and then for studying, did you just use, so you said Kaplan books? Did you also do like the, what's that one with the 3,000 questions or whatever? The,
Oh, you worked.
U World and the
Yeah.
AAMC. Did you do those as well?
Um, I did, I did UWorld. I did Kaplan books, and also did the AMC. Yeah. Um, Also, my friends shared with me some of the notes that they took, and I just went over them and I looked at them. But then, I feel like these are all the resources, and I would say they were pretty efficient for doing good in bio, psychology, and chemistry. Um, Yeah, only I mean, I wouldn't give any advice on cars, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But you say like to practice for that, just do as many questions as possible, like for all, yeah, in general.
Yeah, yeah, first try to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's weird because I did pretty good in psychology, but then I didn't feel like I knew anything. Like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand much. But then psychology is just something that you have to use all your brain power. It's the last section of MCAT, so people are usually pretty tired. So
Mm.
if you start like when everyone's tired, you start thinking more and you start using all your power, then you'd have so much. You have a higher chance of doing good in psychology. And I guess that's what happened to me.
Crazy, yeah. No, applaud, man. You're gonna make it for sure. I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some of your like research jobs, like how you got it, what you did? Um,
Sure, yeah. I can talk about my last research job. So I started we took a 370 together, as you talked about, and Professor Jeff Richards was our prof. So I connected to him because I really he was a super nice person, and also he was super motivated and into science, so I really liked the way he was explaining, the way that he was always he had so much energy for like being into science and teaching. So um that's why I was he really motivated me to go into research. And I started in his lab by taking an NSERC, which is an undergrad research award. And during my time, I was helping three postdocs. And one of the postdocs, his name is Ben, and he was the main person who was supervising me. Also, at the same time, I was working in under other people and then learning much more from all the PhD students and all the postdoc students. And this was a great opportunity because they had the fund for their project and they could let me to share so many like they could let me to do many things that I wouldn't be able if I was in any other lab, I guess. And in the end, I started taking my own directed studies and I did my own research topic. So with the help of Ben, I could come up with this research idea that I wanted to do. I wanted to examine how's red muscle and white muscle metabolism and fuel preference differ in different time stages. And our animal that we used for studying this was fish. We used salmons. And just to clarify why salmon is so important for studying muscle is because unlike human, that you can't really separate the red muscle versus the white muscle, salmons and other fishes, they usually have the chunk of white muscle and then there's one strand of red muscle. So it's just super easy to separate them and do research. So then I started taking those muscles out. We use the machine called Ouroboros, which you can measure the oxygen consumption of mitochondria at the same time. So we permeabilize the tissue, we put the mitochondria inside the tissue into the machine, and we could induce different fuels like carb or fatty acid or carb to see which one they respond better and more to it. And by this way, we could just measure all the things that we studied in muscle physiology, like the leak respiration, the state 3 respiration, and you have the Krebs cycle open, so you can just induce everything and study it more.
Dude, that's insane that you you're literally doing the research we got the graphs for in
Yeah, yeah,
class.
exactly, exactly. That's so
Oh
exciting to generate
man.
those graphs that we've
Yeah.
seen for so many long times.
That's so sick. So you were
Yeah,
able to get that just from NSERC and I guess like going connecting with the professor and then just reaching
yeah,
out, right?
yeah. I guess Jeff for me was a really awesome mentor
Yeah.
because after we finished by 370, I was not thinking about doing a research or anything like that. I would just go to his office and then ask for a time so I can ask question from him that I was asking question about MD PhD, which I'm really motivated to go into. I was asking, do you know anyone like that? Like, what do you think? Like, you're a prof, you've been into this business. Like, what should I do to succeed from now on? I would just like keep asking him so many questions. And then finally, he offered me that they had the financial to this project funded by BC Shref, and it was an amazing project done by Jeff Richard's lab and also Colin Browner's lab, and I was glad to be part of it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you know which schools like for MD, PhD, or MD or like thinking about? Would you consider the US,
Mhm.
Ireland, or Australia?
Um, my preference is UBC because it's just cheap.
Yeah.
I do not have the financial to go to US. Um, I know that you can get scholarship in US if you go, and you can also get loans, but then you still have to pay for rent and find new places. And if I had the money, I would go to US for sure. But since I'm not really in a situation that I can support myself, I would uh, I would really hope for UBC, um, and or any other Canadian schools.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I think you'll definitely get one. There's a person in my iCord lab, like at VGH, who did Australian medical school, and
Mhm.
he went to the, I think he was just coming back here to write the Canadian board exams to potentially do residency here. He did, I think, one of the cheaper ones, and it was like 200K for 4 years and living. So like not terrible
Yeah.
compared to, yeah, like some of the US ones. So and
Mhm.
yeah, like you said, it was really good. A lot of good rotations and quality of education was good. But I think you'll definitely get into Canadian school. Um, do you want to talk a little bit more about some of the ECs you kind of did, or
Your voice was cutting off.
yeah, do you want to talk a little bit more about like your ECs, like extracurriculars?
Sure, yeah. Um, I really like music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my first year at university, I was a music major.
Oh, no way. Did
Yes.
not know
Yeah,
that.
so I played many instruments. I started with violin and then piano, and I was playing the hammered dulcimer. I started writing notes for it and then writing notes for the orchestra. And I was really academically pursuing music, but then I knew in my heart that I like science so much more. So that's the motive for me to switch to science.
Of course.
Um, Even though I was still studying science, but I was doing the music. I was in two different bands, a Persian band that we'll play. Um, I used to I'll play the tombak, which is a drum kind of thing, and then hammered dulcimer. We'll play like Persian, folk music or Persian traditional music usually. And I was also joined in another band which we played rock and metal music, so they're different, I guess. But yeah, I was playing the drums and the guitar on that band.
Mm.
Also, I was volunteering for this place called Strive Living Society that you get the chance to help people with disabilities and spend time with them. And I really enjoyed that. It's just an amazing experience for me. And what else? I always try to be super active and then get as involved as I can. First because I wanted to get into medical school, and also because I thought I really need this experience to be a better doctor and be more prepared for the life.
Yeah. And you also do like MCAT tutoring, right? Like you're a tutor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I tutor only biology section because
Biology.
that's the one that I feel the most
Yeah.
comfortable with. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good mix because like yeah, and if you ever need me to verify or whatever, you got no problem. But yeah, it's cool. Like you're doing so much like with the music, volunteering and like research and all of that.
Yeah.
How do you
Mhm.
balance everything? Like what's your productivity system?
So I would say I really learned to be efficient. So it's interesting because I was telling my friend who's in her second year of university, I was telling her that it doesn't really matter if you have 4 courses or 5 courses. If you
Mhm.
have 5 courses, you have to do so much more.
Yeah.
But then you maximize your time and try to be so much more efficient versus when you have 4 courses, you'll spend much more time studying the same things.
Mm.
So I guess that what happened for me when I my first year had 4 courses, or when I had 5 courses. I tended to get the similar result even though I had much more courses. It's because when you have much more things to do, you'll try to balance everything in your mind and try to be super efficient. So when I know that I forgot to add, but I was also doing acting, and I was also background acting for like some of the super famous movies being shot in Vancouver, and also acting for my friends who are having a theater society. So, for example, when I knew that I have to go contribute to the acting, and it's not something that I cannot go because my face already been into the, it's not like the music band that you can cancel on.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, let's do it next week, and then everyone's down. Yeah, let's just chill and next do it next week. The acting is like so many people depend on you, so you literally have to show up. So for me, every time that I had to go, I knew that I only have 3 hours, and
Mm.
I knew what I have to do. So I started having everything listed in my calendar. So for example, not studying for the muscle physiology and put in everything before the exam, I spread it out in my calendar. I knew this day I cannot study because I have to do acting. This day I only have 3 hours to study. So I'll just make a schedule that I know with the schedule I can succeed. And I'll just follow the schedule.
Yeah, no, 100%. I pretty much agree with you on that one too. Because in my fourth year, pretty similar. Like I was working in the seniors' home like 2 days a week, and then I knew like okay, I gotta go teach the exercise class, or I gotta go. I'm booked for this time. I'm not gonna be able to study. And then when I was doing the tutoring alongside that, it's like okay, I know I'm seeing students this time, this time, this time, this time, and then I know these times are commuting and getting to and from school. So then I feel like yeah, what you're saying is completely true. I think it's a Parkinson's law, right? It's like the
Mhm.
time or like the task will expand to fill the time that's given to it. Like if you give yourself 10 hours to do something, it'll take 10 hours. But if you give yourself 2 hours, you're going to find a way to get it done in two. And no, that's incredible. So I guess use a calendar and to-do lists and stuff like that, and then schedule everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, without a calendar, like it's impossible to balance anything, I would
Yeah.
say. It just for me it worked perfectly because I could see that like if I don't have a calendar, I wouldn't be sure that I could do it. But when I have a calendar, I know that everything is in the calendar. So I only need to follow everything, and then
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then what do you do for like self-care and like mental health and wellness? Or is that just like the extracurriculars and seeing friends and
Yeah, for I meditate a lot. You
Yes.
probably remember it.
No, dude,
Yeah.
I do meditation too now. I have an app
Oh,
called
amazing, yeah.
called Smiling Mind. I talk about it all the time on my videos, but
Oh,
it's so helpful because it gets you to really calm down and like be present and everything, and you feel way better. I also do journaling and like writing things out, like whatever's on my mind, and
cool.
creating action steps of like what I can actually practically do to like address it. And yeah, like what are some things you do? And then obviously, I guess the gym and stuff,
Um,
right?
So in at some point in my university life, I met this person online. His name was Gene Hart. He's from England, and then he lives in Canada right now. So I realized that he has a YouTube channel, and he's a
Mm.
super nice person. I really love talking to him because it just calms you down when you talk to him. And he is a super spiritual person. I watched some of his YouTube videos, and then he usually talk about chakras and then like spirituality, and then that's the content that he usually try to teach and talk about. And so I started really talking more to him and then learn from him. Uh, about like what are the meditations, and then how people can improve themselves inside out. So that really helped me. I want to give some credits for him to him for sure. um, Also, I really try to spend time as much as I can with my friends. Not only just going out with them, but like I know they also need to do work, so I'll invite them to go over and then do work together. So I can just motivate them, and then they can motivate me. And then as we spend so much time together studying, right?
Yeah.
That's like studying doesn't have to hurt. It could be
Yeah.
super interesting, and then we have so much fun studying, not just like studying to like get it over with,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I think it's because like we kind of enjoyed the material, you know, we had like a common goal of okay, yeah, I want to get to PT school, want to get to med school. Let's do the best we can, right? And let's do the best in those class. Let's learn as much as possible. We're paying tuition, may as well, you know, learn as much as possible.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I completely agree. Like if you find ways to do things and make them fun, you'll be way better at them. And yeah, no, it's really good. Did we miss anything? Any other things you want to share? Do you have advice for like young people?
um, I don't think we missed anything, but if I want to give an advice, is that um, when you I feel like the most important thing in life and in studying in general is to know your goal and know your passion. Because when you have the idea of what you want to do in future, it doesn't have to be exact. Like you don't have to exactly know, oh, I want to be this gastro surgeon, like working in this hospital. But like know that, oh, I love this field. Like I love math, I love engineering. When you know what you love, that really could fuel the motivation and then just keep you running. Um, and in life, we many times will may be stuck between two choices of what should I do? Is this one better or this one? But what I learned from life is that um, I know that I might be. I really love math myself and calculus. I enjoyed it so much. Not a typical thing for bio students. But I was really in between of choosing which one do I want to be, because I knew I was really good at math. Like I did a perfect in my both my calc courses. So I knew I'm super good at math, but also I knew that I do not like to be an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to be not specifically engineer, but like anything related to math, but I want to be in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So I started thinking about data science and then how it could be related to medicine. But then um, I just such a hard time deciding between these two. But then happened is what happened, and then I believe if I went to that route, I would have been successful. If I'm in this route, I'm successful too. So don't don't just make everything hard for yourself, and trust life, because it sometimes show you the best thing for you.
Yeah, it's like pick one and then like do work your hardest. Don't dwell.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, the
yeah,
alternatives and stuff, right? Yeah,
yeah. Know what you want, and
yeah,
if you have two choices, just let the life to choose for you.
yeah. I really like the idea of like having a goal and stuff too because I was reading this book called The Amazing Secret, um, and then it's like the whole premise is like the people who are successful, they do so because they have something that they're actually working towards, like a goal, and then they're taking steps practically every day to get there, right? Versus if you're
Yeah.
like if you're not if you don't have anything that you actually specifically want or like anything where you're trying to get to, your effort or your motivation, it's gonna come and fade, right? You're not there's no clear direction. Versus yeah, like if you have something that you're working towards, even if there's setbacks or failures, like it's just opportunities for learning and it's just part of the journey, right? Like you only
Mm.
actually have failed if you quit or if you decide you don't want to do it anymore or whatever. So I think that's yeah, that's good advice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing that I will add before we end up the session is I um, I want to recommend this book. It's called Dark Horse,
Hmm.
and you know what is a dark horse or not?
I have not read that, no.
Okay. So people who gamble on horses, there's sometimes some known horses that you know they're gonna win the game. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you'll bet on a horse that you know it, but then an unknown horse that you've never seen and you no one knows like what is the background, like where is it coming from, they win. So
Hmm.
then they call those dark horses because no one knows anything about them, but sometimes they win. So this book really talks about how um, it's I guess it's the opposite idea from what worked for me. Is that sometimes people who don't know, they're not following the norm, they are the people who are successful.
Hmm.
And I guess just gather information as much as people as much as you can, because um, a dark horse is someone who doesn't know the path, someone who doesn't really follow all the norms of the society, but sometimes who find their passion and run for the passion.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so like you see so many examples of people who are successful, and then you see like someone, they studied their whole life math, and then they finally found out, oh, they wanted to be in fashion, and then they
Mm.
become the most popular person in fashion shows. And sometimes just trust your guts, and then
Yeah.
run for the things that is your passion. And I
Yeah.
guess that's the last thing I wanted to add.
No, amazing. I think that's a good place to end it. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Kia. I know there's gonna
Thank you for
be,
having me.
of course.
Yeah.
No, no, I know it's gonna be good. And, congratulations on finishing your degree. Like, I know
Thanks.
that was a hard fought, like, 4 years and a lot of hard work. And I know it'll be good, man. It'll be Dr. Kia Ferrari in no time.
That's the dream. Yeah.
Right.
Amazing.